Cinema 5D's NAB show coverage.
Sponsored by B&H, the professional sauce for all your video needs.
I'm Jody Eldred. I'm a filmmaker, director, and a cameraman and a writer, and I'm part of Sony's ICE team. I'm not an employee of Sony, but I'm one of the guys that they bring in to do testing and evaluation of their cameras and compare it to other things that I've been using throughout my 35-year career. And I've used just about everything you can imagine out there, so I have a little context for my remarks. This camera, of course, the FS700, is Sony's new large sensor, super 35mm sensor camera that they've designed to be a very affordable kind of filmmaker's camera that will accept any DSLR lens or PL lens you can get your hands on. Various adapters will make this thing work with anything out there, which is pretty cool. Part of what Sony asks me to do is to talk about why a certain camera is good for some applications and why there's other cameras that would be better for others, and that's part of my job with this thing here. You know, there's no one camera that's perfect for everything. Just like there's no one tool that's perfect for everything. You can't have just a really good pair of vice grip pliers and expect to repair an automobile with that. You got to have a lot of different tools. Same way it is with cameras and with lenses, and especially those of you who shoot with DSLRs. You know, you need to have a bunch of different tools in your toolkit to make that work. Whether it's a viewfinder, electronic viewfinder, or whether it's a set of DSLR lenses, whether it's hand grips or whatever. What Sony has done with this camera has created something that pretty much eliminates the need for a lot of extra stuff. The camera already has a viewfinder. It has a diopter that allows you to do critical focusing. This one doesn't have the diopter on it, but it goes right here. They've taken it off, and it's removable so that you can see the viewfinder in here with your eyes if you want to go that route. The camera, like I mentioned, will accept any DSLR or PL lens on here, so that makes it an excellent tool that if you already shoot DSLRs, whatever glass you have, Canon, Nikkor, Sigma, Tamron, Zeiss, you name it, all that stuff's going to work on here, which is fantastic. This particular camera now is a departure from last year's FS100 in that this has a 4K imager. It's a true 4K imager. And what that allows you to do in 2K is to take that 11.6 megapixel image and squeeze it down into a 2K raster. So you have unbelievably smooth images in there. And then on the day when your client demands 4K, well, why do you want 4K? Just because we have to have 4K. You'll have 4K then. And it'll output 4K through the back of this thing onto a 4K recorder at 444, which for a sub $10,000 camera is pretty ridiculous because we're all looking for the biggest bang for the buck. Now, why would you want to shoot with this camera rather than something else? Like a DSLR, for example. This is a camera that gives you what you want from a DSLR, which is that shallow depth of field. I mean, let's face it, the only reason that DSLRs became popular in shooting a video with is because they give you shallow depth of field. Yeah, it's nice to have a small form factor, but let's face it, once you put a viewfinder and all this other apparatus on there, sometimes you've got a pretty big, complicated machine there, which has been greatly refined into something like this. So this is a for real high definition video camera that is still quite inexpensive. Another fantastic advantage of course, shooting on a DSLR 5D, for example, you got to stop about every 20 minutes. You don't have time code in, you don't have professional audio in, except with the newest of the cameras. So you got a dual system record, stuff like that. This is the real deal. It's got XLR in, it's got built-in time code, all of those kinds of things that you're used to having on a professional cinema camera. This has all that. So in my opinion, and I don't want to offend anybody who shoots DSLRs because I'm one of those guys too, but once you've shot with this, you're probably not going to want to go back to your DSLR again because it has everything you need. It's got all the firepower and all the horsepower that you would want, all the flexibility of all the lenses you already own still work on this thing, but it's in the form factor of an actual video camera. Hard drive that fits on the inside of this records 11 hours, records on SD cards, very inexpensive media, and then add stuff in like this. Slow motion capabilities, up to 240 frames a second in full 2K resolution. That's stunning. You don't need to run a Phantom anymore, $175,000 Phantom, unless you want to do super high-speed stuff. I mean, that's just a cool added little extra. They added ND filters onto this, which is a fantastic thing the FS100 doesn't have. So now you're outside shooting in sunlight, you can use the capabilities of that big sensor to get shallow depth of field because you can kick in ND and open up really wide, which you couldn't do before. You don't have to worry about screw-on ND filters for your camera like you would have to do right now. So those are all some of the really fantastic capabilities of this that make it a camera that I really love. And I know I risk sounding like a salesman here, and I'm not. I'm brand agnostic. I'll use anybody's camera. I don't care. I just want to use the best thing. But I can tell you, this is a camera that I would buy. And for under $10,000 street price, out the door, ready to shoot, you can make full-on movies with this thing much easier, much faster, and much more beautiful. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, your DSLR has about 9 stops of contrast, 9 stops of dynamic range, 13 on this. What else do you need to know?